same time, I didn't really invest in it. I really didn't take it to heart until the same time I was in a very big fight with my uncle, who at the time my grandmother passed away, and we were getting rid of the house. We were selling the house, um, and there was supposed to be money that went to all three of my father's brothers. So him and his two other brothers. But my uncle was a control freak with the money because he was the most wealthy, very good with money. And so I went on the phone with him and started screaming at him about how he was a thief, how he was a liar, how he stole my grandfather's heirlooms. And then I was like, I got to go into this stupid industry called cryptocurrency I don't know anything about, and put my entire savings that I've put into that I've worked at Petco for 3 years. And it was like 8 grand at the time. And I was like, I got to hope to God that this works out for me. I don't know anything about it. He's like, cryptocurrency. And the entire mood of the conversation changed after that. It went from a screaming battle to mutual benefit. And he said to me, he's like, if I give you $4,000, would you be able to make it in this space? I was like, oh, I don't know, I'll give it a try. So, after that, we had conversations every single day for hours about cryptocurrency. This was about May 2017. And at the time, I was in school, to be a history teacher. And I was trying to figure out ways to make money without having to go to a traditional brick and mortar store. So the day that he gave me about 3 to 4 grand, because back in the day, Coinbase, for those who may be new to cryptocurrency, at the time, Coinbase only allowed for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin transactions. So I bought one Litecoin, didn't really do much. But then I was like, you know what? Let me put the 3 grand into Ethereum. So I put the 3 grand into Ethereum through my bank account. So when you use your bank account on Coinbase, you got to wait 6-7 days. So I put the 3 grand into Ethereum at about $80 per token, per coin. I'm sorry. And then by the time 6 days later came around, Ethereum was about $130. So 3 grand turned into about 4,400, somewhere around there. And this was like a shock to me because this is the first time I've ever saw the concept that a man or a woman could make money without having to do anything. So after that, I took this very seriously. And I started really asking my friend Daniel Gotch, who I brought up before, about cryptocurrency. What cryptocurrencies are there? What other coins out there exist besides Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin? So he started teaching me about Binance, started teaching me about Bittrex, Bitfinex, HitBTC, all the exchanges you could use back in 2017 in the United States, but not anymore. So he spoke to me about it. I started using Exodus Wallet. I bought Gollum, I bought Aragon, I bought Ardor, I bought QuantStamp. I was a big fan of Superman at the time. I bought Bitcoins. I turned into Ethos. I turned into Voyager. And then I got into Substratum. And in 2017, unfortunately, I didn't sell during the top. Like many people who got in 2017 didn't. And unfortunately, the poor guy, Daniel, using his excess funds that he made in cryptocurrency, whatever he had left, he was let go from Petco. To my knowledge, what he told me was that the veterans that used to come in that couldn't afford dog food, he would pay out of his own pocket when they would come to the register. Yeah, so it was very kind of him. So then they let him go as a result of that. That's what he told me.
Are you serious? Come on, then.
Yeah, I agree. It was unwarranted. So he did that. And then for 3-4 months, I spoke to him, even though he was outside of Petco. He didn't work there anymore. But then he disappeared. And the last time I spoke to him, he told me he was moving to Ohio to build a house with the rest of his funds for his homeless cousins. And since then, I've been really trying to find him over the last 6 years. And I lost his number. He doesn't. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. But
did you try a missed connections on Craigslist?
I have tried everything: missed connections, Facebook. I even made an Instagram to try to find him. I don't use social media with the exception of Twitter. I've tried to contact old coworkers. Like, have you guys heard of where Daniel went? Like, is he all right? Is he still alive? Is he in Ohio still? And after that, I introduced my group of friends to cryptocurrency, and my best friend, who we worked together, and we did what we had to do. He went from the investor route, and I went into the route of actually becoming employed in this space. So for the last 4 years, I've worked with different cryptocurrency companies, Ergo, Icon, Sharda Protocol, Gokhshtein Media.
Oh,
I'm
you're
with.
a G Media kid too?
I was so I worked with G Media, because I was a representative for the Icon network, which was an interoperable protocol that was popular from 2017 in the 2017 run, and he wanted to interview somebody. So David Gokhshtein interviewed me and then offered me a position after, and we had a great conversation. And we spoke, and I worked for him for 6 months until I started student teaching. So I still have a great relationship with him. And
Yeah.
now I'm with a very old protocol called Syscoin, and I'm with Syscoin. It's basically an amalgamation between Bitcoin's UTXO model and Ethereum smart contract model, and they're building excuse me, they're building ZK rollups for their protocol, and they've been around since 2014. So I appreciate projects that have a shelf life more than 2 years. And I'm avidly trying to build and grow the Hex community by reaching out to people and trying to break those barriers down. So, I,
So I
yeah,
think so. I know, and I love what you're doing.
thank you.
For those who don't know about the Hex community, because I'm in the XRP community,
Yep.
and I got mad love for, so many people in your community. They have been totally awesome to me and everything. But my people are all about utility, right? They are researchers. They want to know what it does. So if you can tell us what Hex is for those who don't know, and what is its utility?
Sure. So, in my opinion, there's a couple components of Hex. So, Hex really, in my opinion, embodies the principles of what cryptocurrency once stood for: decentralization, no middlemen, no admin keys, liquidity locked, not your keys, not your coins, and more importantly, delayed gratification. Now, it's not. I think there's this common misconception outside of Hex that you need to stake your coins to garner yield, and the utility of Hex is to stake your coins. You can make a staking ladder. You can stake for anywhere up to 5, 5, 5, 5, 4 fives, which is about 15 years. And the average staking length right now, I believe, is around 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. And what it allows you to do is to garner compounding interest on the basis of your stakes. And the APY, to my knowledge, is anywhere between 28% and 31%.
Wow, that's
So
pretty good.
it's fantastic. And you have a very strong community behind this, a very, very large community as well. And you have the figurehead who is abrasive in his principles, but hasn't been wrong about a lot of things. And it's Richard Hart. He's been very open about trying to bring about the old order of cryptocurrency, which were the cyberpunk principles that I believe over the last 3 years have gone down the tube. To be honest with you,
Wait, back it up. For those who don't know, what are the cyberpunk principles?
sure, decentralization, laissez-faire economics, libertarian principles surrounding cryptocurrency, not amalgamating cryptocurrency with nation states. I think the cyberpunks of 2009 would be very disappointed to see that CBDCs are coming in and so many different projects are now working with nation states.
Mhm.
So I would say it was more of a libertarian virtue than it is now. So, and I think that Hex does that. There's no corporation, there's no brick and mortar Richard Hart store. Um, there's no centralized company. It's
No.
just individuals who buy Hex and they want to stake their coins. They can. If they don't, they don't. I mean, I don't stake, but I know many people who do.
What are your what comeback do you have per se for those who are saying, because there's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Listen, I deal with it all the time too. Like XRP community is,
Yeah.
we're so used to this shit. Like we're unfazed by now with the
Hmm.
FUD. What do you say to people who think Richard Hart is a complete fraudster and the delay of Pulse Chain? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
So there's a couple of things. First of all, I think that nobody really has got scammed by Hex. I think that there's no fraudulent notion towards Hex when it's been around since early December of 2019, more than 1,000 days, and no
Right.
one has really got scammed by it. I mean, you could say the whiners who bought at the top and then that's just a ubiquity in every cryptocurrency. You buy the
Right.
top, and then you get wrecked at the bottom. That's not the
Yeah.
fault of Richard Hart or the protocol. That's a fault of a lack of fiscal imprudence.
Mhm.
So at the time, I think that there's a lot of things that the way Richard acts creates a very polarizing effect, whether that be for better or worse. He's very abrasive in his principles to get the point across. Um, and I think that there is a lot of, no question about it, there is a decent amount of disgruntlement surrounding Pulse Chain's launch, or lack thereof right now. But what I've seen is recently, which I made a video on my channel, um, he just released the V3 private test net, what it looks like, and talked about the client lists, and it basically showed, and a lot of the Pulse Chain devs are coming out of the woodwork, and they're coming out on Twitter, and they're discussing Pulse Chain. So I think that the reason why people think Pulse Chain is a scam and they come from outside the Hex and Pulse Chain community is because they're not really aware of what's going on from the development side, and there is a little bit of, from my perspective, ambiguity and a lack of updates until recently surrounding Pulse Chain. I think one of the reasons why people say it's a scam is because we were told initially that after Pulse Swap Sacrifice, which turned into Pulse X, it was supposed to launch about 2-3 weeks after mainnet, which, I mean, after the sacrifice. The mainnet was supposed to launch after that, which was around March of 2022. So I think that people are, just are disgruntled by the fact that Pulse Chain has not launched yet. So I don't think Pulse Chain is a scam. I think that Richard is aware that building a following, and I know that the man is someone who cares about glory, and
He's a bit
glory.
bougie.
What's up?
He's a bit bougie too.
Yes.
Spend no expense.
Yeah. No. 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 Exactly. When a man cares about glory and cares about legacy that much, I think it would be counterintuitive to create a paradigm where you just scammed $1.7 billion out of people, because your legacy then will be defilement and hatred. It's not going to be reverence and reverence and exhaustion. It's not going to be like that. So I don't think Pulse Chain is a scam. I think 130 projects waiting on Pulse Chain's launch kind of speaks for itself in that respect. I just think that a lot of people think they were scammed because of this 2 more weeks notion. That the same thing happened with Hex, and I wasn't here for day one Hex, but for almost 2 years, it was constantly 2 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 4 more weeks, and then finally it was announced. Um, I think there was this same concept with Pulse Chain. The only difference is that there was no sacrifice for Hex. There was for Pulse Chain. So I think that's where the distinction lies, where people are more aggravated on waiting for Pulse Chain rather than Hex, because there was no monetary energy out, in essence, sacrificed. So that's where I think that notion of a scam comes from. I don't think it's a scam. I've literally made 80%, I would say 70 to 80% of my content of Hex and Pulse Chain on my channel. So I don't think it's a scam. I personally don't. I think it's
Okay.
taking a bit long, but I don't.
Yeah, no, and I love hearing this from you because, like, I have to defend the XRP community all the time with things and whatever, and we're going through our own, matters with the SEC,
I
and
can
that
imagine.
brings me to my question with Hex. Like, where does Hex stand with regulation? Have they had, any kind of opinion letter from an attorney saying no, this is not a security, or is it good with,
Sure. So as you probably know, there's been a recent list of mostly day one hexagons that are strictly hex focused that have received subpoenas
I've heard that.
about,
I've heard
yeah,
that.
about you know are hexagons paid by Richard to promote hex.
Right.
And no streamer, at least to my knowledge in the hex community, get paid, including myself, get paid to talk about the things that we enjoy. So I think that the subpoenas around hex and pulse chain, they're mostly about, are the in not the endorsers, but are the individuals that talk about HEX paid to promote it? Now, there is a lawyer who is representing these hexagons. I'm not sure if you know. Do you know who Robert Barnes is?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Okay, I know
Okay.
who
Okay. So Kyle Rittenhouse. So Kyle Rittenhouse, if you got whether you like him or you dislike him, he was represented by Robert Barnes. I think
Okay.
that's his name, and he was found not guilty for what happened that night.
Okay.
That same lawyer who represented him in that national trial is representing these hexagons in the SEC case. So I think that we have very powerful uh, legislative, not legislative. I'm sorry. Excuse me. We have very powerful lawyers with us that can prove that that Hex fails the Howey test. There is no expectation of the profit of the work of others. You mint your own coins with Hex. It's not like Richard goes in and presses a button that some dude that loves Richard who stakes Hex gets more Hex than some dude who reviles him. A focus of the Howey test. I think the main SEC complaint here is that, or not even complaint or assumption, is that Hex, the people are paid to promote it, which to
Okay.
my knowledge, nobody is.
Okay. I think because what I had read was and I believe it to be a FUD article
Yeah.
of how I think, he spent their money and invested into different things like ETH and Bitcoin. Come here. You want to say hi? Come here.
Is that a little pupper?
Yeah. So come here. Come here. Oh, he doesn't. He just wants to walk around. I have a giant Doberman. He's
Nice.
105 pounds and he's the whiniest little baby you'll ever find in your life.
I have
But
a lab pit mix too. I understand completely.
okay, so and it's just been yeah. I don't know if this is a FUD article that I'm pulling up or not, but it says
Sure.
Hex founder accused of fraud and the
Sure.
SEC may. So this may happen. It may come. So if the SEC comes down Richard Hart, which we know can happen, and we know that he is a billionaire, are you still going to stand by Hex?
Personally, yes. I think that this is. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and I'm probably going to get shit for this, but I don't really care. Cryptocurrency is not meant to have a hierarchical figure. Cryptocurrency is not meant to have a hierarchical structure based on its community. Sure, Vitalik created Ethereum alongside Gavin Wood and Charles Hoskinson. Sure, Satoshi or the conglomerate of people behind Satoshi created Bitcoin. But these protocols live on without Satoshi. Will live on without Vitalik. Will live on without CZ. I think what happened with Hex is there's a massive reverence surrounding Richard Hart. And I think that's both a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that you have someone who is very knowledgeable about cryptocurrency, has been in it since the very beginning, also is very wealthy and has connections to bring about change in this space, and has created a very strong community as a result. The con of that is that if God forbid anything happened to Richard, Hex will obviously live on. The protocol will live on. It will continue to pay yield. It's not like anybody can shut it off. But when you have that idolization of one particular person, there will be many people, in my opinion, that would succumb to doubt. It's almost as if, for example, the Catholic Church stopped having popes. It would remain to be seen about how the Catholic Church would operate without the concept of a popery or a diocese. So I think that if God forbid something happened to Richard in that respect, I think that the community, which is just like the XRP community, is more than Brad Garlinghouse, his name.
Yep, that's our
Yeah.
CEO.
Yeah, you have the XRP community is more than Brad Garlinghouse. You have it's a community of individuals that want to see XRP succeed. If Brad Garlinghouse were to go away, XRP, in my opinion, would still operate quite well. Wouldn't
Listen, even if XRP goes away, the XRPL can still operate.
Yes.
Like it doesn't even necessarily need XRP. But you're right. Even without Brad Garlinghouse, yes, it
Mhm.
lives on. But I think though what the biggest thing with this is, and I want to get your take on this too. And I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
if
sure.
it's being a headline today, like how we're battling the SEC right now and everything like that. But just you're familiar with Mount Gox, right?
Yes, I am.
And
Yes.
Jed McCaleb. How is Jed McCaleb in bed with the with the CFTC, right? And an advisor for them. And this comes out right after this World Economic Forum
Mhm.
meeting this weekend. And we know the Brad Garlinghouse, he does also sit on the board.
Mhm.
And I don't care what people think either way of CBDCs. Oh, they're bad, whatever. I
Mhm.
just want to be on the end of I know what's happening. I
Of
see
course.
it. I'm aware of it. So I'm going to invest in the technology, and that's why I'm here. And that's
Mhm.
why like the global financial system, the ISO 20022 tokens, like
Mhm.
definitely, in that ecosystem. But does it not seem strange to you that Jed McCaleb just seems to get away? Like there's no dirt on his hands after some of the things that he has seemed to pull?
I think it's the way George Collin put it. It's a club, and you're not in it, and neither am I. And it's the same way how SBF is able to get away with frauding millions upon if billions of dollars surrounding surrounding FTX. It's how Alex Majinski is able to declare bankruptcy and be fine. It's how the Winklevoss twins are able to have a subpar rock band and forget about Genesis Lending, and then and then Genesis Lending declares bankruptcy as of yesterday. It's the same way with BlockFi. It's the same way with Duquan talking about how he likes to see projects fail, and then his project failed 2 weeks later, and how none of these people go to prison, but the guy who created Tornado Cash is in prison in
Right.
the Netherlands till February.
It
It's
just doesn't.
corruption.
100%. 100% it is. And I think, a lot of things, it might be my tinfoil hat, but I think a lot of it is, planned out, or they are puppets or have their handlers.
No, it's not. It's not a tinfoil hat presumption at all. I think it's absolutely true. I think that the FTX debacle really proved the point that there's this shadowy notion of politicians avidly taking money on both the Democrat and Republican side, taking FTX donations under the carpet, allocating them to their excuse me, to their campaigns, allocating it to Ukraine. This is really goes to leave it to cryptocurrency to show how corrupt the U.S. government is on
How?
both sides of the podium. Like I spoke to, I don't know if you're familiar with Laura Loomer. She's she was a former congressional candidate in Florida, and she was at the Bitcoin conference, and she started screaming at Jack Dorsey, saying, "You're antithetical to the principles of blockchain. Why are you sitting at the Bitcoin conference? You're a big tech censor. You're a despot, is what you are." She got kicked out of the conference for that,
Oh, shit.
and she's brought up on Capitol Hill, like I think it was these numbers. I'm probably going to be wrong on these numbers, but it's around these numbers. Out of 147 politicians that had FTX money allocated to them, only 25 returned to them, so return the donations. So it really proves the point that corrupt actors who have the rightful connections are the ones that don't go to prison. They're the ones that are able to go home and play League of Legends till October to his trial.
Right.
So it really goes to show that justice is a very subjective notion, and and the notion of what type of justice you get or receive is dependent on your status and connection, whether it be nepotism, whether it be under the table deals, and that's a major issue in this space, and it's a major issue around the world. But cryptocurrency has really highlighted that failure in our own government, in our own federal government.
Corey, speaking of corruption, let's talk about the SEC. What kind of message do you think that the SEC just sent when Nexo literally what just settled for them? What was it, 45 million or something
Something
like
like
that? And
that.
they sold PFI. How give me your thoughts on on this?
So, in regards to Nexo, I just found out about this today about what happened because I know that Nexo has to pay, I think it's
Yeah,
$45 million as a total. Yeah.
right.
So, I think the SEC right now is really trying to be is trying to really become this draconian institution that is trying to clamp down on cryptocurrency. And I forgot the connections that SBF and Caroline Ellison had to Gary Gensler, but there was this amalgamation of corruption between them. And it's the same thing with library credits, how they're announcing what securities are and what aren't in this space. And I think that the precedent they're creating is a precedent of destroying the virtues of this space. They're literally creating a model for excess regulation. You have Nexo being fined $45 million. You have library credits, the same thing. You have XRP with the SEC case now going on what, 5 years? Something like that?
No, it was like December of 2020. Like we're
Oh,
not
okay.
5 years.
Okay,
Jesus.
3 years. Almost 3 years.
Yeah, no, it's like we're just over 2. It feels like
Yeah,
5,
I can
honest.
imagine.
It
So
really is.
it's when I forgot that it was the agency, they settled with some other crypto lender. I forgot the name of it in last February, and I forgot the name of that lender. And I think what the SEC is trying to do is trying to define in cryptocurrency what's defined as a security and what's defined as a commodity. And I think it's difficult to distinguish that because one, we're in a gray market area. Two, some of these cryptocurrency projects, they weren't given out with the expectation of the profit of others. So it's definitely they're trying to rein into this crypto industry, and I ponder with Nexo, with BlockFi, with Genesis Lending, because now the SEC is going after Genesis Lending as well, because they just announced it, I believe, yesterday. It's I don't know if the SEC is either trying to be despotic and control this entire industry, or they're actually trying to go after bad actors, or both. I can't make that presumption, unfortunately. But I think that FTX collapsing, that has led to a scrutiny towards cryptocurrency lenders, and has put crypto lenders in the spotlight. And after FTX collapsed, people were talking about Nexo being next, which, no pun intended. It's not a surprise to me that Nexo was was a target for the SEC by any
Well,
means.
I think though the only people that were hurt with Nexo, are honestly just the regular, normal, everyday people who
Yep.
are trying to make higher than, just a couple percent that their savings account would allow them to make. And I think that this is just another way to try to keep us poor. What has Gary Gensler really actually saved us from?
Nothing. And I see that BitBoy has really been going after him, because the fact that he has proven that, is he for the people? Not
No,
really.
he's
Not
not.
really.
I mean, I guarantee you, like, there's somebody else in his ear. I mean,
Absolutely.
maybe, maybe it was Jay Clayton. I don't know. He got a nice fat ETH deal, and nobody
Exactly.
talks about Ethereum. Like that's the elephant in the room.
Exactly. Is it an elephant in the room? That's a good question. I remember hearing about how Gary Gensler was somewhat a few steps of separation away from connections with FTX. So it really begs the question, is the SEC just trying to keep people uh, poor? I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's the same thing what Robinhood did with Dogecoin holders, if you remember, or was it Shiba or Dogecoin, where they literally stopped trading in the name of protecting investors,
Mhm.
and it stopped people from garnering massive gains on that coin.
And I think a lot of people too, like there's a lot of FUD coming out now about Binance. And
Yeah,
we don't want Binance to be
no,
insolvent. If Binance is insolvent, we're fucked.
I
Like
agree.
really, honestly. And I think, and I brought this up before on CZ's show, that I believe that centralized and decentralized exchanges, they both play their part, right?
Yeah,
You have some people who don't understand technology, who, if they lose their money or they send something
Mhm.
somewhere else, you do that on a centralized exchange, there is customer service and they can actually help you. They can
Mhm.
reverse that, whatever. If you do that on a DEX, you're screwed and
Yeah,
that's
you
on
are.
you. And, so we need that balance. We
I agree.
really
I agree with you 10,000%. I think self custody is very intimidating. There's an inherent reason, other than the few percent of APY that people get on Nexo, on BlockFi, excuse me, on Celsius. There, it means to be. It shows that not only people are interested in a few percent of a gain, but people are intimidated by self custody. There's a reason why we have financial advisors that are basically in charge of our investment decisions, and we're not in charge of our own, because self custody and investment decisions can be very, it can create a lot of trepidation, and it takes a lot of audaciousness to come into a market, especially like cryptocurrency, where one small mistake could make you lose everything. It's very intimidating to use DEX exchanges. You don't put the right permissions in on Meta. You don't have, you give a permission to MetaMask that's nefarious. You lose everything. If you click a sponsored phishing link, you lose everything. If you send Ethereum to the wrong address, you lose everything. There's no FDIC insurance. But in a bank or in excuse me, another financial excuse me, the financial product, there is some recourse to that. Whereas in cryptocurrency, there really isn't. So I do believe that their centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges do play their part. I think the FUD is unwarranted, but I will say this. From a historical context, cryptocurrency reminds me a lot of America in the 1890s, where you had monopolies everywhere. You had Rockefeller, you had Carnegie, you had Vanderbilt. You had all of these monopolies existing in the name of enterprise. And it took until Teddy Roosevelt to come in to break up this type of corporate capitalism with antitrust laws. Now, why does this matter with cryptocurrency? And where's the connection here? Cryptocurrency over the last 6 months, I think we've entered this oligopoly era. And I'm not fudding Binance by any means, and I don't want Binance to collapse by any means, because if it does, the industry collapses for a very long time, in my opinion. However, I believe personally that Binance is is almost a monopoly in itself on this industry, because of the amount of trading that goes on it, the amount of influence it has over this industry. And I know this is a byproduct of the maturation of a market, but an oligopoly has no place in what is supposed to be a laissez-faire, libertarian type of industry. So I love Binance. I think CZ is a fantastic entrepreneur. I used to love using Binance until they closed their doors. Um, I think Binance just has too much power right now, and oligopoly towards this space comes into question. And now you're starting to see corrupt entities like the SEC coming into cryptocurrency in the name of being a savior, trying to stop oligopolies and trying to stop these lending platforms from either getting too much power because it threatens the financial state of markets, of legacy markets, or the fact that cryptocurrency is starting to garner eyes throughout the world. And as this becomes more mass adopted, this really does have the potential to change the financial landscape and does threaten the hegemony of a lot of pre-existing financial institutions. So
All right. So, all that being said, Corey, tell me, are you into the cryptos that provide the rails for CBDCs and everything like that, like into your ISO 20022s?
am I invested?
Yeah.
The coins that I hold are personally HEX. I hold Cardano. I interviewed Charles Hoskinson on my channel
He's a
recently.
cool dude.
What?
He's a cool dude.
He is very cool. The funniest shit is he looks just like my sister's ex-boyfriend, who's her best friend now. He's actually in my house right now. Literally looks like he could be his father or older brother. It's actually kind of scary. Um, I have Cardano. I have Phantom. I'm a big fan of Phantom. I think it's a very I think it's a very fast layer one. I think that it's a big ground zero for DeFi. I appreciate their Lachesis consensus model, their staking model. So, and I also hold Syscoin, which I believe Syscoin has value simply because of the fact that it's been around for almost 10 years. So I try to find coins that aren't technically VC backed because we've realized that VC backed coins are VCs have a lot of power over those coins. So
They do. And
yeah.
sometimes, like your VCs who get into it,
Mhm.
what happens if they give you a name? And let's
Yeah,
say you find out down the road, you build up a really cool team, really cool project, and you find out that's not even their real fucking name.
exactly.
You invested in it, you know what I mean? And your teams, and that happens. That's actually a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. People say it's the wild, wild west, but is it really? I mean,
It's a subjective notion on the basis of a lack of regulation. And I've actually spoke with an SEC lawyer on my channel where she says, Corey, there's no absence of regulation. There's an absence of compliance. So are we really in the Wild West? Not really. There's regulatory framework she specified to me. Um, did she specify what their names were? No. But she used to work for the SEC. And she said there's lack of jurisdictional compliance. And you're seeing that with the SEC going after certain cryptocurrencies. But then again, is it warranted? Is this space supposed to be free of compliance? Well, that's what it was created for. It was created to stay away from nation states. So I'm afraid of the ideological shift that cryptocurrency is seeing now. It went from a libertarian based philosophy to a more progressive reliance on the state to mature type asset class. And I hope that as we move forward, there is some type of reactionary response back to those first principles. So, I
well,
mean,
I hear what you're saying, Corey, but do you believe that we are in the fourth industrial revolution right now?
yes, I do.
Okay. All right. So are you have you been keeping up with what's going on with the World Economic Forum right now? And
That,
okay. So I
Davos.
read some articles and everything, and basically what it looks like is that the Great Reset, do you believe in the Great Reset that we
Yes,
might
I
be?
do.
All
Yes, I
right.
do. The 2030 Great Reset. Yes.
That can't happen until the US literally has regulation, has everything in place. It seems that they are waiting for the US of all the fucking countries, right, to call it. And it's crazy because the three that they're looking at are China,
Yep.
who won't let anybody have it, right? It's
Mhm.
bad. China says it's bad right now because
Yep.
obviously they want to control everything. We don't even need to explain that. Then you have England, who says, hey, this is personal property. That's what crypto is. And then you have the US, who can't figure out if it's a fucking security or a commodity. And maybe that is because, the government is taking their own sweet time because they have their own issues. And, we don't know. So, but I think that is the holdup and one of the reasons why.
I agree with you. I think that right now what we're looking at as a result is the World Economic Forum is becoming a governance model that nobody elected and nobody realized even
Exactly.
what was becoming this autocracy and this oligarchy that no one voted for. And if you don't even pay attention, most people don't even know who Klaus Schwab is. They don't know who's involved in the WEF. You don't know who goes to these meetings. You don't know the corruption thereof. So I don't believe in what would be defined as what they try to define as a stakeholder economy. And they do this in a very smart way. A lot of what the state usually does, or state sponsored entities, is they try to create this model that looks like they're trying to help you. They want to create an equitable economy. I think we have a pretty equitable economy in America. There was a book that I actually have here called Why Violence Has Waned by a professor by the name of Steven Pinker. And he says capitalism is basically just fine. And gentle commerce is in capitalism in America. It's one of the reasons, and not even just America, but in the West, it's one of the reasons why violence has waned substantially over the course of the last 30, 40 years. So I think that this new world order, this great 2030 reset, is it's I think that this economic, do I want to call it deregulation? Do I really want to call it that? Because I don't think it's deregulation from nations, but it's stronger regulation from one financial entity. It's basically like a second Federal Reserve almost. And
Corey,
as a
let me add on to this of
Sure,
what you okay, because this like plays into HEX of what you're saying. So
sure.
blockchain will conquer all things by 2030, 2050, whatever it is, according
Mhm.
to Klaus Schwab in his
Yeah.
book. So how is HEX part of this future?
So how is HEX part of this future against the WEF?
Yes.
Okay, so WEF looks at the Great Reset as this stakeholder economy, as this new economy on the basis of multinational corporatism, um, almost like the world once was in the 1890s, where capitalism descends into corporatism ubiquitously. And why does HEX play a role in this? Why does cryptocurrency play a role in this? But I'll use HEX specifically. Is that there's no brick and mortar Richard Hart Hex store. There is no Hex entity in regards to a company. There is no PO box. There is no storefront for for Hex to become a corporation. It's a decentralized economy. So I think that cryptocurrencies like Hex that do embody this decentralized notion are juxtaposition in the philosophy of the World Economic Forum. And if we're going to create a reactionary response to the WEF and centralized entities and the stakeholder economy, well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to not allow, but you're going to have to keep cryptocurrencies and financial products that are decentralized, that allow people to take control of their own finances and not have to yield to a type of stakeholder like economy that really succumbs to corporatism.
Don't you think though it would make sense to be invested and have a diverse portfolio into these, decentralized projects, obviously like Bitcoin hacks, but
Mm-hmm.
also into the ones that work with the banks and with the World Economic Forum, even if we're against it, but
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want to be stuck on the other end that when they take over,
Yeah,
because who holds all the money? The central banks,
I agree.
obviously. And don't you think it would make sense for someone to be diversified on to both ends of the spectrum, even if we don't agree with it,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, you don't want to become a slave to that.
Mm-hmm. I don't have to like something to be part of it. I don't
Right.
have to agree with a principle in order to understand. Like I had this conversation a couple days ago where there's a lot of people in cryptocurrency that virtue signal that they're not in it for the money. And I believe that's bullshit because what do people really do? People, we're in this for the technology. Sure. Like that's a component of it. I'm not disagreeing. But
Mhm.
until the paradigm goes from turning fiat into cryptocurrency to specifically make more fiat to putting fiat into cryptocurrency specifically to make more cryptocurrency and stay in cryptocurrency, well, cryptocurrency really is nothing more than an investment vehicle to garner fiat currency, which is basically the law of modern monetary policy. So I think that it's important to have financial products that are also juxtaposition to cryptocurrency. Do I have to agree with it? No. But if it's going to make me money and if it's going to allow me to have a sustainable life where I don't become an economic serf in modern America, with skyrocketing inflation, then so be it. I have to, sometimes we got to do things we don't like in order to make a living. I mean, people go to jobs every day they despise simply because they have to. So I think investing in financial products that may work along the lines of the WEF um, and legacy products, is it a is it a bad thing? No. Is it something that I wish didn't have to be that way? Yes, but just because I don't want it to be that way, it's the world works in certain ways, and until there's a coup at the WEF, well, got to play the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So
All right, Corey. So I have a listener who wants to ask a question. Do
tell
you
you
mind?
boy, tell
Because
you boy.
I have a listener that likes to go down these rabbit holes
Go
too.
ahead, go
I
ahead.
don't. I'm not.
All
I'm
right.
not gonna get in the picture.
All right. She's not in the picture, but she's here.
But
How
I've
you
been
doing?
listening to you. I've been listening to you for this whole time, and I don't go back as 2017 as you did. I heard your intro, and is in matter. Listen, you're doing most things that people still right now think is like a fairy tale. They think
Yes.
it's all fairy tales, it's all fairy dust, like they say in the Wolf of Wall Street. Like they just
Yes.
like they think it's all a scam. Like it's air, right?
Mhm.
I got into it in 2019,
Nice. Okay.
and I am all about utility. I actually was the one that introduced Jenna to XRP.
She is.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right.
The listener got me into XRP.
Okay.
My passion about the utility of XRP and XLM being
I like
utilized.
SLM as well. I like Stellar.
Yes, the way that the banks are trying to modern, like they're trying to become modern in the digital world, where right now they're analog. XRP, XLM, they have been making moves since 2013, and even before that.
Yep. Global payment networks. Yep.
They got the most connections. When I was trying to tell Jenna about it, everybody, they're like, "Yo, you're crazy," and I'm like, I put my entire life savings into.
Hey, God bless you. Good for you.
I heard you. You said you put your entire life savings too.
I did in 2017. I did.
Listen, I was nodding my head too. I was like, bro, I did.
So you know, okay.
Listen, I'm a vet. I was going to Afghanistan. I was trying to get tax-free money.
Oh, God bless you. Glad to see you home safe. That's awesome. Glad to see you home safe, soldier.
I appreciate it. But the plan was to get this money to retire and get like this apartment complex. And as soon as I found out about XRP and XLM, like all of my savings, dead ass, like I put it all in there.
Takes a lot of.
How far are you down right now?
Since you're a woman, I'm not going to say it takes a lot of balls, but it takes a lot of ovarian fortitude to do that. So
it's okay. You got balls.
Yeah,
we got balls.
I got more balls than most.
It takes a lot, you know. So I have to say, like, I think global payment, the ones that are working with banks, as long as the banks of this world don't collapse, the cryptocurrencies that are working with banks, the likelihood of them collapsing is very, 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 very slim. Even if XRP loses this SEC case, it's not going anywhere. It's already.
That's why I know, like, it's not
going anywhere.
To me, listen, I told Jenna today, we're talking about crypto. I was like, yo, my XRP bag is fucking full. Like, it's as full as I can get it. I'm trying to work on the ones that are on the come up. Take that number one spot. That's where I'm at. And I'm listening to you. I've never really heard about your project before.
Oh, it ain't my project.
HEX. She's referring to HEX. She's heard about Syscoin, though. She's heard about Syscoin.
Cool.
I have heard about it. But my end all be all when I'm doing because I'm literally hardcore extremist XRP maxi.
Okay.
And I told Jenna, I was like, bro, our community is the smartest community in the whole crypto sphere.
XRP is a large community. I'll give it that. XRP is probably in the top 3 in regards to the largest communities in this space. I'll give it to you.
Listen, you can have your opinion, but there was a study done. You can look it up. There was a study about.
I'm not a maxi. I have no bad opinions about XRP.
Listen, when the study came back and was talking about Bitcoin and crypto, people, listen, there's a lot of shit coins. People think they're gonna be rich overnight.
Oh yeah, you got the dumbest ones like Prolapse Nipple Coin and fucking. There's some names that are so vulgar. I don't know how they even made it. Okay. Yeah. So like hey, little pup.
Yes, he's here. He made his appearance.
I see a little pup.
The study showed that out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, the number 3 question was XRP, because XRP, believe it or not, if you really enjoy history and you have done your history, XRP was in the works way before Bitcoin got released.
There were a lot of cryptocurrencies that were not a lot. There was a meta currency project. Milton Friedman in the 90s basically came out whatchamacallit, Milton Friedman, who was a very known 20th century economics and futurist, he said, the internet will come in 3 waves, and the third wave will become a reliable e-cash.
Well, I'm going to tell you that Jeb McKillop was part of the original Ryan project that was what got changed later to XRP. When Ryan and Jeb got together with somebody to promote it to the banks, Jeb didn't like it. And literally within a year, anonymously, like it just came out of nowhere, this Bitcoin got released. And then a year later, Jeb broke off from Ripple and started XLM. Tinfoil hat or not, I mean, if the dots add up, they add up. But it's up to you to make those connections.
No, I agree with you. Ripple Pay has been around since 2004. So, if you're talking about Ripple Pay and you're talking about that type of notion regarding Ryan, I have done some research on
the project, the idea, the conceivement of it.
Yes.
The theory behind it all started 3 years before Bitcoin was ever released. It was only released after Ryan and Jeb met certain people that wanted to sell it to banks.
So are we going down the rabbit hole to presume that Ryan may be Satoshi?
No, I don't think. No, absolutely not.
Wait, I thought Nick Savo was Satoshi.
I think Hal Finney is, to be honest with you. It would make sense because he's dead.
It's a group of people.
It has to be a group.
It is a group.
I think it is a conglomerate. I think it's Nick Sabo. I think it's Hal Finney. It would make perfect sense if it was Hal Finney. He made the first tweet running Bitcoin.
If you really want to go down tinfoil freaking road, I'm gonna tell you right now, it was invented by MIT.
I would not doubt that. I would not doubt that, to be honest.
I'm just saying, if you really wanted to pick your noodle later.
I'm open to picking my noodles.
Caller number 9. Do you have any other questions for Corey Costa?
Listen, my question is, your token is a staking token.
She's talking about HEX.
I know what she's talking about. It's not my token, but yes.
He is not Richard Hart.
No, okay. Not at all.
Well, you're talking about it, you're promoting it, right?
He's big in the community. He's a supporter.
Yes.
My question is, look, end all be all, we all want freedom. That's why Bitcoin was invented. So and put it into the Genesis block after 2008.
Yep.
The banks took advantage. We bailed them out, and we're still paying for it.
Mm-hmm. What's the question?
We will never win. We're never gonna win against the man. Like,
I never said we are. I don't think we are. I think.
Well, no, I'm not asking you that. I'm telling you, we're not gonna win. And I know XRP and XLM, they're with the man. They're working with the man. So that's why I can put my entire life savings into them.
So,
safe investments, in my opinion.
Well, why should I invest in your token?
Well, I don't advocate for anybody to invest in something that they don't believe in. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not here to.
I want to hear your argument.
Caller, don't worry. Caller number 9, like, we have to have some fun on this, Corey. Like,
okay.
Honestly, because this is the shit the XRP community and stuff wants to hear too. Like, they just want to know, like, and why and how we can feel comfortable. And it's with anything. There's no given, right?
All right. So let me
want to not be poor.
No, I agree with you. So let me ask you this. Besides being in tune with the man per se, what would you say, besides the utility of Ripple, what would you say is the most value component of Ripple? Not from a corporate standpoint, not from a utility standpoint. What do you think is the most valuable?
Honestly,
what?
Ripple, the company,
okay,
took technology to every single third world country before they got to the United States. Because once you get 26, 28 countries that are the biggest movers and shakers backing you and saying using you, the U.S., what are they gonna do? They're gonna have to take the knee, bow the knee, or get left behind.
What are countries made of?
People.
Okay.
And
People, yes. And what do people make up? What do they create when they come together?
People are just resources.
I don't disagree, but that's the point. And when you have people come together, you have a community. So resources, the allocation of resources, yes. So my point being here is that when you don't have a community, you don't have a company. When you don't have a community, you don't have an industry. When you have a nation that doesn't have a military, as which is a community of the armed forces, it's prone to conquest. It's prone to succumb to imperialistic ambitions, to other nations, to other entities. We've seen this around history. And why does that matter with HEX? Well, what matters with HEX is that, first of all, it embodies what you're talking about surrounding utility. Is it in bed with the man? No, it's not. But what it does do is that it allows people to generate APY without having to rely on the man, which your APY could be anywhere.
Can I intercede?
Sure.
First of all, they're not with the man. The man's going to shoot it down from the sky as fast as it can, as soon as regulations and clarity come into purview. Mm-hmm. Anything that's not with the system is going to get shot down. When people say clarity and really like real law and regulations come, there's only going to be 1%. And you know what that 1% is going to be? The ones working with the man. So listen, I personally.
But do you think that XRP, because it needs to be like, I know David Schwartz has said like it literally the price of it to do what it needs to do cannot be this low. Do you believe that there will be a flip the switch moment, or do you believe because people will need to move it all the time? Nobody's actually holding it; they're using it to pay. Do you think it will actually go up in price, or you just think it's gonna like?
I don't think cryptocurrency as a whole will ever become an asset class that's used as a currency ubiquitously, because of the fact that it's too volatile. That's why I think it's more of a.
I don't call it a cryptocurrency. I don't call it another currency. To me, it is a technology. It is an RSA token. It is a token. It's an algorithm. That's all.
We can call things whatever we want, but it doesn't take away the fact that it is what it is. Cryptocurrency is a cryptocurrency. Do I believe that cryptocurrency is going to be a reliable asset class when you go and take a piss and it goes down or up 10, 15%? No. I don't think it's at that phase where adoption will set precedent to a reliable source of transacting if you're looking for the store of value.
Listen, I know for a fact crypto, I don't call it currency. It's not a currency. It literally is an algorithm. It is a technology.
Yes, it is. I agree. It tried as a currency, and
the governments look at it as a technology that can be used with their AI systems.
I agree. That's why you'll probably see next run, in my opinion, if I had to take a guess, you'll probably see AI cryptocurrencies start to have prominence. You're starting to see.
It's not probably. It's already written.
All right, caller number 9. Listen, I think it's going to be utility tokens. And I think, I don't know with these AI ones, because my thought is, why go after something that's already pumped again? Why not wait, let it pump, and then let it retrace, right? With these AI tokens. I don't know. I'm not trying to chase green candles.
Yeah, and the thing is that that's the thing. If we're looking at a cryptocurrency, like Cardano's trying to do the same thing in Ethiopia, for example, when you're looking at cryptocurrency projects, you have to analyze things from the fact that, sure, they can be mass adopted. Sure, many will die. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And I think if Vitalik said it perfectly, that 99% of cryptocurrencies will die. I'm not disagreeing on that. What I am saying,
will yours die?
I don't think so. I think that as long as a community survives, I think once a community survives, ideologies thrive. I think that if you don't have a community, you don't have a company. Microsoft dies if no one buys Xbox. Sony dies if no one buys PS5s. Models dies if something else comes along and takes its place. So I think that as long as a community thrives behind the backing of a project, it creates a model for survival, and that's a ubiquity with any cryptocurrency. As long as you can have the best technology and mediocre marketing and not succeed, But you can have the best marketing and mediocre technology and succeed. And Vitalik also said that, and I believe that that's very
And
true.
honestly, community is everything in crypto.
Thank you. That's what I've been trying to get at this entire time. Is that
100%. Look at Doge community, right? Like
exactly my point. Doge has barely any utility. It's literally a meme coin. That's I got a picture of a dog. And
but what is utility? You write a few more lines of code, it does a few more things.
Yeah, utility is a very subjective notion on the idea of what it does for its protocol and what it does for its user base. So I believe personally, as long as the community survives, then I think that any cryptocurrency, we can even use HEX as an example. I don't believe it's going anywhere. Now, I believe all cryptocurrencies are down right now. Most cryptocurrencies have done terrible. And I think that, unfortunately, right now with the SEC, I think the SEC basically stifled XRP's monetary valuation growth in the last bull market. It didn't hit the all-time high that it had in 2017, where it was like $3.15. So,
but I think that we know a bigger plan with XRP, and we're not worried about a $3 XRP. Like, we're holding out for a lot more because we want the regulation. Like, let's be real, like Brad Garlinghouse could have settled, and he's not going for settlement. He wants the clarity and the black and white, and the World Economic Forum, everything like that. They are pressuring for that. We need to have that clarity. We need that for the reset. So I think that, yes, the SEC sucks and everything like that, but we also have to think about how many bad actors there are. I think there's way more bad actors than good actors in this space. There's
I agree with you.
only 50 crypto out of all of them that are going to make it. And they may not all even be in the top 50 right now. But fucking Google just bought into Solana, like 10% of it.
Yep.
So now I'm like, shit, I wish I had more Solana. And I think that we also need to be aware of like gaming tokens. Look at them. But I think the biggest
Gala for a perfect example.
Yeah. Oh my God. Definitely. I think that we need to definitely look at like projects that are building out their ecosystem first before they issue a token. Build out as much as possible. If we've learned nothing from the library case, build out as much as you can before you issue a token, and it's less trouble, right?
Well, I can use Pulse Chain as an example. When you have 140 projects ready to deploy on it, whenever it releases, that I can't give you an answer for. Whenever that releases, build out the community, build out the utility for the component, for the project, rather than creating an isolated blockchain. Well, then you have something to be reckoned with the community backing it. And that's the one thing Richard Hart was in a space once, and he said that he doesn't want anything built on Pulse Chain, and I really disagree with that 100%. You can't have a layer one with nothing built on it besides PHEX and PulseX. It's not a viable product. It's not a viable notion for adoption, and you're creating isolationism. And isolationism does not breed adoption. It doesn't. You want to have a bigger community. You want to have more people coming into this, coming into Pulse Chain. So I think right now, to answer your question surrounding HEX, as long as the community stays, as long as the community is able to reconcile the fact that, which I really hope it does in the next couple of years. I do believe this is a major, like I said before, curse and blessing. I believe the biggest blessing for HEX is that Richard Hart has created such a strong community, but I also believe the biggest curse is reliancy leads to an unknown notion if, God forbid, anything happens to him. So I think that I wish from a decentralized standpoint, the HEX community would be more prone to realizing that Richard created HEX, but HEX is not Richard. Vitalik created Ethereum. Ethereum is not Vitalik. So that's just my point. So that's my perspective. I'm not trying to tell anybody to buy.
Sure, no. And I love hearing your perspective. That's why you're here. And that's why we're having these conversations. And that's what people want to know about.
Yeah.
Corey, we've been on an hour. I'm going to take a brief bathroom break. But while I do, I'm going to pop on caller number 9 for her last point. And then we will come back and we will wrap it up because we have been on. I've had you for an hour. And I appreciate all of this. Like,
I didn't even know there's a time.
I love that we're having these talks, and it's just so great to be able to have like all of these different points of view, because that is exactly what this space needs. So
I agree.
Gonna just
go ahead.
Caller number 9, go for it.
Hey, caller number 9, how you doing?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? So I really appreciate your perspective, and to be honest with you, I think that the SEC case when in my opinion, not if, but when Ripple wins this case, I don't want to speak in absolutes, but I'm confident that it will win. I think
They're
that
going to be legitimately the example, and after Ripple wins, everything is going to set the precedence.
I think that it's very beneficial for XRP to win this SEC case.
I'm telling you, it's going to. It's just that right now, I look at it when I try to explain to my family and my friends about like crypto and like XRP and like what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, we're not wealthy people. We're not rich people.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, we're very poor people.
So yeah, I'm not rich either.
Why would I want my friends and my families around me to like be investing in like $100, $200 or whatever little change that got laying around on this crypto thing, right?
Yeah.
So the only way I can like dumb it down, and I know that sounds bad, but it works.
No, I agree with where you're coming from, and what I hope is that there is more diffusion in communities, and I get a lot of shit for this in the HEX community because I know that just like XRP maximalists, like you said yourself, there are HEX maximalists, and a lot of them, a very considerable amount, and I think that there's a very good component to maximalism and there's very bad. So the good component is that they keep the purest perspectives. They keep the ideology of the cryptocurrency alive. So when you have purists in the XRP community, they keep the ideals of XRP alive. HEX, for example, the HEX purists and the HEX maxis purely keep the HEX community's ideals alive. When it comes to, and this is something that I've noticed with HEX and Pulse Chain that is actually quite fascinating to watch. How communities come together either and embrace each other or resist each other, because as you know, XRP, Jenna, and your friend as well, when communities have differing ideologies that come in, it's either met with animosity or embracement. And I think HEX is a perfect case study on both, because there are HEX maxis that are very resistant to new projects coming into HEX as a result of Pulse Chain. And there are also those that are embracing Pulse Chain third-party projects and acknowledge the fact that, yeah, many of them will be dog shit.
Can I interrupt you?
Tell your boy.
She's gonna anyway.
No, listen,
yeah, I figured as much. Tell your boy.
You ran off. I'm telling you, like our community, when it comes to XRP and like just most of us, we don't got a lot to invest. So in all be all, we want to make sure that what we're putting our hard-earned money, like monies, like everything, our entire life savings is gonna.
Is that why we don't like ERC20s, because of the gas fees, and it takes so much when we know we could just put that into more, altcoins like Algo and like XTC.
I don't know what she's saying, but I'm telling you right now. Listen, we know XRP is working with the banks. They got over 90 banks.
That's a big deal. That's why I don't
believe 90 banks. XLM working with IBM and the whole government.
It's a big deal.
Listen, when you got these things to back you up, it's hard not to invest your money in that.
I agree with you.
Listen, I told her, I was like, listen, I'm like Joe Schmo from the street. I'm like outside the box right now. Tell me 3 points why I should invest in your project.
HEX has a strong community. Again, this is not financial advice. I want to make that clear.
Well, I want to tell you right now, because you keep saying community, and I'm telling you, fiat is a community.
It is. You're absolutely right.
People believe that it's money and it holds value.
Mm-hmm.
But literally, it's nothing. Community makes everything.
I agree with you. That's why the HEX. That's another reason why I stay with the HEX community, is because the community is so strong. I agree with you on that. So the number one selling point to me is not the yield.
Yeah, from the beginning, from the get-go, you can't give me that point, because community and fiat to me is fairy dust. It's like the Wolf of Wall Street. It's the Fidazo. It's the Fiduzo.
I agree.
If I'm gonna spend my money, if I want to invest, like, let's say, like I got 2 G's, and I want to put it into your project.
It ain't my project. I'm not Richard Hart. I'm not Richard Aorta.
What you talking about?
He's a passionate community member from the HEX community. He's invested.
Okay,
and is passionate.
If you wanted to sell it to me, give me 3 points.
If I wanted to, I'm using very, very, very.
No, I can't community, because community is fleeting.
Okay, fair enough. First of all, I'm going to say community again. The second thing is the yield, and which I believe if you're looking for passive income, which passive income is a perfect investment vehicle to long-term wealth, which I think that many of the most wealthy people agree that passive income is the way to bring about self-sufficiency.
Ain't people trying to still get their money back from FTX though, from passive income?
But HEX is not HEX is not a centralized exchange on the basis of some centralized figure like an effective altruist like FTX, like an SBF. HEX is not a central.
What about the people they don't want APIs? We're paranoid about our money. We want to be our own banks. We got our own hard wallets. We just want to like buy and download it straight to our hard wallets.
Okay, caller number 9. I think that's when you would diversify. If you want to it's what you believe in, right? Because we in our community, we believe in our hearts that this is the way with our like 90% in ISIS and whatever. But like people in that community like fully believe in that. Doesn't make it wrong or doesn't believe anything. But the higher the risk, typically the higher the reward. And you know what?
I agree.
What if we put away $1,000? Never thought about it again, checked on it in 15 years. I've spent $1,000 like and not even in one shot, but maybe over time investing a little bit more. You know, I have a fucking blackjack table in 15 minutes.
I put $8,000 into World of Warcraft over 10 years. So it's like it's like I get it.
And I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And I think it's cool to diversify and you know, the thing is that I've noticed is HEX has one of the biggest communities, but I will say this.
I just want 3 points.
The HEX community is the most fun. I will say the XRP is the most like, okay, like the bookworm, like they're fun. They're not fun. No, we're not.
They're super serious.
Yeah, they're too serious.
Yeah,
so the HEX community is the horniest and the most fun, and they like to make their money and
when you're asking me about in the last stream I was with you guys, and when you guys were asking me about like buttholes and stuff like that, it was kind of
they made me say those things.
Not you.
DZ made me do it. I didn't try to.
It's okay. It's okay. I was not. I embraced it. I embraced the whole. Don't worry.
You know what? You have to, especially when you're on with those leads. But the cool part is, you're right. It's 100%. But Corey, you said one thing, and before we end this show, I want to make sure we hit on it. What are the caller number 9 loves you. She may or may not have had a couple drinks tonight. It's fine.
Okay, I understand.
Listen, what are the synergies between the XRP community and the HEX community, and how do we work together? Like, how do we, you know?
Very good question. Both communities are very large. Both communities are well principled. Both communities have their foundational bedrock surrounding what they believe in. They both have their maximalists. They both have their communities that believe in outreach, and they have members of the community that believe in isolationism. They both believe in utility. One of your caller 9 believed in the fact of utility, specified it numerous times. Utility next to community is the cornerstone of a well-established cryptocurrency. I agree 100%, which is why I invested in HEX. Do I stake? Like I said, no. But do I believe that there's value in locking up your coins and earning yield? Yes, I do. I just like to be 100%, like you said, like we talked about the control of one's money. I like to be 100% in control of my money. I want to make sure if HEX, whatever price it goes to, I want to be able to know that if I want to take profits, I'm able to take profits. But many people find utility in passive income, and many people find utility in community. Community is utility. Without a community, again, I think it was Jack Welch. I think he was the CEO of GE, and he was like, if you don't have an idea or community, you don't have a company. And that's true with every cryptocurrency. If you don't have a community, your project's dead. I don't care how revolutionary it is. Hell, you had water vapor cars in the 1970s and it never took off because
Or maybe you don't need a community. Your community comes because you have the support of the elites and, those around you. Because think about who controls the narrative, who is paying the media, who's saying, oh, crypto is dead, creating the fear.
I agree with you.
they can flip the switch in a minute and be like, oh yeah, no, Bitcoin is good. We love Bitcoin. Throw that shit on Fox News and everybody's buying it up. Like, you know
That's
what I
what
mean?
you know.
So the little guys who aren't being talked about on mainstream media, those are the ones who really have to fight and have that community and everything and be solid.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's who's in bed with the regulators.
And also, I believe in regards to community, as long as you have a community and your project isn't a rug or dog shit, a rising tide raises all boats. And once the bull market comes back, whenever that may be, which I believe it'll happen after the halvening. I think the halvening's March of next year or something like that. I believe that HEX and Pulse Chain, if Pulse Chain is launched by then, which I'm hoping it will be, but in this scenario, if we're just talking about HEX, I believe that HEX wholeheartedly, because of its community and its support, that a rising tide will raise all boats, and that's it doesn't have to be the largest cryptocurrency. Even projects in the top 300, a cryptocurrency that no one knows about, and that's number 300 on CoinMarketCap, for example, with more allocation of funds, you have this cycle where money goes into Bitcoin, money goes into big caps, it goes into mid caps, then it goes to small caps, and then the market collapses and rinse and repeat. That's how it's been. So I don't for as long as Hex's community stays and is able to stand on its own 2 feet, God forbid if anything happened to Richard, which I'm confident it would. I think there would be a time of I think there would be time of a little bit of a chaos. I'm not going to lie, but I do believe that this community is starting to become more passionate about the code than the individual who created it. And you, like I said, you can have respect for the man who created it, no questions asked. But really, the respect comes in the code. So I believe personally that with an average staking length of 7 years, unless the OA decide to shoot itself in the foot and sell everything and destroy the project, which really would not be in anybody's benefit, even the OAs. I don't foresee anything nefarious happening, and I think that community is really the cornerstone. Look at Cardano, for example. Cardano has a massive community and has a figurehead like Charles Hoskinson, but I believe that if God forbid something happened to Charles Hoskinson, there would be a lot of disarray. But I believe Cardano would survive. So,
And that's what it's all about. And people ultimately just want to know that their money is safe, their investment's safe.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so early. Yes, as caller number 9 loves to say, we're broke. So yeah, I mean, no one knows. No one has a fucking crystal ball, and I think that's why a lot of the ones that are in bed with the regulators, they take a lot longer to come to fruition. We have to be really patient. And honestly, no matter what your crypto is, I think the biggest thing is to have an exit strategy, because a lot of people are like, I'll never sell. Well, you're fucking stupid, because otherwise you're gonna be left holding your bags, and then once you've gone through a cycle, you're gonna be like, never again. So this is the perfect time. This is when millionaires are made, guys. It's when you're at the bottom, and what we have an opportunity to buy right now, we should be grateful for. Literally, I agree with you. We're never gonna have these opportunities again. In 4 more years, people will be saying, oh, I wish I got in then. And we're going to be like, you know what I mean? The OGs that we're in and we made it. So I think it's important that we relay that now. I think it's great that what we believe in, we share. And thank you, Corey, so much for coming in, educating. And that's what this is about. Your community has been so welcoming to me, so awesome. And I can't thank you enough for that. And
absolutely.
Thank you for your time, for coming in and sharing your knowledge and everything. And awesome.
Absolutely. I'd love to have you on my show whenever you want. My door's always open to you. I enjoy speaking to you. I think it's also very important to garner a woman's perspective in this space because, as you know, this is a male-dominated space, obviously.
Really?
I know. It's shocking, correct? Shocking, right? But no, getting a woman's perspective is very important in this space. And I don't like to sugarcoat things. I'm not going to virtue signal. Next bull market, I'm selling my assets. I don't care if I'm called a piece of shit. I don't care if I'm called all these things. Yeah. But when I see whatchamacallit, when I see Phantom, Cardano, and Hex at certain prices, I'm selling. I don't care. Hate me all you want. I'm selling.
Don't let people wallet shame you. And
Yeah.
listen, I'm going to sell. I want you guys to know who are watching right now. I'm going to sell any NFT I fucking want to that's in my wallet at any point in time.
Smart
And
woman.
you're only hating because you didn't sell it. I'm not going to let you wallet shame me anymore. Okay. That is my 2023 thing. And people,
Smart woman.
I ain't taking it. I'm going to make my money. I'm going to get mine.
Can I just plug my channel?
Plug your fucking channel. Where can everything find you?
All right. I'm going to do it. All right. So I'm going to go to my channel. For everyone here who's enjoying this conversation, I'm just going to put it in the chat. I don't even know why I didn't just come in on my live stream chat. I mean, on my channel. I don't know why I didn't do that. But this is my channel right here. If any of you guys want to subscribe to my channel, I've interviewed Charles Hoskinson. I've interviewed Benjamin Cohen, BitBoy, Crypto Wendy, David Gottstein, politicians from Utah. I'm going to have Laura Loomer on soon. I've interviewed, I don't know who else I've interviewed. Benjamin Cohen, BitBoy, Charles Hoskinson, David Gottstein, Crypto Wendy, Peter Saddington, first guy who ever bought a Lamborghini with Bitcoin. I have Dennis Porter coming on next month. Who's a big Bitcoin maxi who just was in front of the Senate today. So make sure, yes, Pepe, and I'll have them on too. Pepe and Wolverine. I'm of the Pulse Bitcoin community. Make sure to subscribe to my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm mostly hanging out and trolling Jim Cramer. I'm at Corey Costa 123.
Jim Cramer's a fucking idiot. If you want to make money, do the opposite of what Jim Cramer says.
That's why I troll him. That's why.
Oh God, he's the worst.
Yeah, he's got the IQ of a shovel. So I agree with you. So Corey Costa, join us at Bullish Fam Info Hub. It would be great to see you. Yeah, hit me up. Join me on. Just hit me up on Twitter, or I'm happy to join any communities that would welcome me. So
Bullzilla is awesome, and that's my homie. Definitely, you should hop on there. That would be awesome. Yeah,
shoot me a message on Twitter. I have a degenerate sleep schedule, so I'm always awake. So
no, you're a degen in the crypto space. No way.
I know, right? All the time. But Jenna, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for having an honest discussion.
Totally. Thank you for letting me put you in the hot seat and keep it cool, because I'm like, Corey knows his shit and he's gonna be good no matter what.
It'd be all right. I tried.
We can be real with Corey.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be a bitch about it. So
thank you so much. You're
absolutely
the best.
No problem.
Bye.